application of traceability and regulatory compliance in grain storage, the subject of the third session of the AgBiz Grain Symposium. Joining me, the facilitator of the third session, Jannie de Villiers. Jannie, I think this is the only session of the 4 sessions where we have international participation. Give us a global view and what we can take home after this session today.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is quite a challenging subject matter, and I think South Africa need to sort of draw in from what other countries have done so far. What we've learned is, the first speaker was from PepsiCo in the UK, and there was an American academic who participated, but he's also a farmer, and then also a manager in the French cooperative environment dealing with grains. Now, what I've learned is that all these countries, and also understanding where we are currently, are at different places, different methods. I mean, in France, they've explained to us that the farmer is not allowed to sell his product unless he's registered, and being registered, he qualifies for certain subsidies, and those subsidies are sometimes used also to assist them with some traceability things that they need to do to keep documentation in place. I mean, in the US, farmers and silo operators are currently excluded and exempt from certain things in terms of traceability. Now, for us, it's very difficult to understand how do you run a traceability system, but apparently it's not such a big issue for them at the moment. They haven't, occurred a lot of problem areas. It was also interested to hear how some of them have did some recalling of grain. Now, some other commodities, they are way ahead of us, the citrus and maybe the meat and things like that. That's a lot easier because grain is blended, at all sorts of stages in the processing. So the recalling of something is a lot more difficult, but there are things in place, and I'm actually proud to see how far we've gone as South Africans to put systems in place. A lot of debate around who's paying for it, and when the moment it's regulatory, it's actually in the price, built into the price. The moment it is customer specific and it is on top of the sort of the minimum standard in regulations, then the specific customers pay up for whatever he specifically or she specifically asked to be done. There was also a lot of discussion about how quickly can we do the tests. Is the technology up to date to do all these tests at intake? Because no farmer wants to stand in a queue, with other grains being harvested, and now he wants to discharge whatever he's got on the truck or whatever. It sounds like it is speeding up, but it's definitely not enough. And I think we would like to see some more investment in that and more research to improve on testing it up front where the farmer actually delivers it. It was interesting that there was also a discussion about the benefits for the system other than the consumer to have traceability in place. And for me, it was quite encouraging, but I think there's a lot more discussion to take place for South Africa to grow in this area to make sure that consumers can get confidence that the food is safe, but also that we look after the environment.
Well, it sounds to me after this session, we have a lot of discussions to do and challenges. And after this, I'll be talking to one of the panel members, Casper Schmidt. Talking to the facilitator of the third session, Jannie de Villiers, we did talk about challenges, but I think we should continue with this discussion. One of the panel members, Casper Schmidt, joins us now. Casper, yes, we do have challenges, but first of all, what exactly is traceability within the grain storage sector?
Lisa, I think traceability is a difficult subject, as you heard today. I think firstly, we must determine what we want to trace. And from then on, we must implement the traceability of that specific item. Regarding traceability, there's a lot of issues when the tacky hits the tarmac. If you need to trace, you need to do more testing. More testing will have an effect on offloading tempo at the silo. Offloading tempo will lead to more segregation, or traceability will lead to more segregation. And then lastly, it will increase costs And when you outload, it will have a negative effect on your outload tempo. And all these things was already discussed in the earlier sessions. So I think traceability is tying everything together, but it's also highlighting some of the issues that was already discussed on the symposium.
Will we eventually get there? Is it just time? Is it something we have to get used to? Do we need to put something in place? Where are the solutions?
I think because we have voluntary compliance already in our different sectors, I think traceability is an add-on. As I said, determine what we need to trace and then implement it together. I don't think it's unreachable. I don't think it's that difficult. We have enough info to start with traceability. But again, please determine it first before you implement it.
Traceability, is it for the farmer or for the consumer or for both?
Well, as you heard, the consumer is pulling the chain. So if that is what the consumer wants, we need to implement it. But also, if we can do traceability and put extra money in the farmer's pocket, we're all for it. We're service providers for the industry, and then we need to assist.
Oh, that's more on traceability and the importance thereof for both consumer and producer.